Hi, Keith here from North 40 Fly Shop. What we're going to tie now is what I call the Patriot Bomber. The original fly was called the Patriot Midge, a little different hook design, and size-wise I think they ran between 10 and 8s or something like that. It was designed for Pyramid Lake out of Nevada for the Lahontan cutthroats, and since we have Omak Lake with our Lahontan cutthroats, I thought I'd give it a shot. And I tied this up, I think it was last year, year before, and fished it like I would a chironomid, under an indicator, between 5 and 10 feet, depending on what the fish were doing. Most of the time fishing it from shore. Did real good. Then you know how you start playing with the pattern and using it elsewhere. And in a couple other lakes it worked real good. And also I've tried it on the Medhow River a couple times. Well, I should say a couple times, a few times, and done very good with that, just nymphing it that way too. It's a blue and red fly, and the reason I call it the bomber is I'm tying it as a chironomid bomber, and that means generally I'll tie it in a 12 to a 10. I've never gone up to an 8, but some of your bomber patterns in chironomids go up to an 8. So it's a simple fly. Doesn't take a whole lot of material to do, and doesn't take a lot of time. So in just a second here we'll get started. So that's kind of going to give you an idea of what we're looking at for tying, but we'll get to that when we're done. Get out of there. There we go. For hooks, we are going to use, because I'm out of the 10 right now, we're going to use a Tiemco 2312, and I'm going to use it, like I said, in a size 12. This is actually a dry fly hook, and the reason I kind of like using it for what I am is it has a straight eye, and when I'm running this under an indicator I kind of like the straight down hang like this. For a bead we are going to use a 7/64 tungsten bead in a nickel. You can also tie this fly with a white bead, same size, or depending on the size of the hook I should say. Tungsten will get it down pretty good and hold it down there. Normally I would have had this all done up, but I didn't. So let's get that in the vise. There we go. Alright, for thread we're just using Ultra Thread 70 denier in the black. And we'll get our hook dressed here, and what we're going to do is we're going to build up a taper from the head down to the middle of the bend of the hook, just like you would with any other chironomid pattern. So this may take a few minutes to achieve that. You don't want to make it too fat. You want to kind of keep a nice taper to it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take, where did I put it? There it is. Some silver UTC wire, and it's the small. That's going to be our ribbing. And usually what I do is I put the tip of it right up underneath the bead. Kind of get it started. And I want to keep it right along side of the hook, my side. And we're just going to wrap our thread back, kind of try to keep the wraps tight and next to each other. Get back up there. And then we'll just go back up to kind of work on and more of our taper for the body. And back down again, and we're going to go all the way back to the very butt. As you can see, I kind of brought that right down into the bend of the hook. Alrighty, so what we're going to use first is red holographic tinsel by UTC. If you do not have this, red holographic Flash-a-bou. They're both about the same size, meaning that they're medium. They'll work just as good. I usually take a little cut on this to kind of get a point. Just helps tie it in a little bit better. After saying that, here I am messing around. There we go. And we're just going to advance our thread a little ways up, and maybe right about there. I'm not going to, even though this is a rotary vise, I'm not going to use that feature just because I want a little bit more control on my wraps. More of a hands-on type. So we're going to wrap that up, and you're going to do nice touching, even a little bit of overlapping turns. And that should be about there. You don't want to go too far with the red. Just enough to make a showing there. A couple of wraps, that'll do it. Trim that off. So the next color is, like I said, is the, like I've said before, it's the blue holographic tinsel in the medium size. And again, same thing in Flash-a-bou will work just fine. Advance this up because we're still building up the front taper of the fly. There we go. Same thing. Just going to make some touching wraps. And advance that all the way up to the head. And you know, we make a couple of wraps up here. That'll just help build up the taper up front. There we go. A couple behind. And a couple in front. Alright, next is the wire. So I take one full wrap at the butt, right underneath the red, and then I start spacing it out and just start wrapping right up the shank of the hook. Doesn't matter how many you do, you want them spaced out, you know, maybe a 1/16 or a little bit less of an inch, as long as it's got good segmentation that's even. Again, this really isn't representing anything particular, it just seems to catch their eye. Couple behind, couple over. Alright. Then if you just take your finger nail and stick it in there and helicopter your wire, off she'll come. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take and just kind of taper. Let's see. pull out my thread, and we're just going to kind of taper that up so we got a good taper on the shoulders, like so. And then about 4-turn whip finish, 5, whatever works. Like so. There we go. Oh, the last step is we're going to use some Loon UV clear fly finish in the flow. This is real, they're super thin stuff, so a little goes a long way. So you're going to want to make sure that they keep that all off of there. Brush off as much as you can, because otherwise you'll be removing it. And just paint that on there. Good thing about having a rotary vise is you can rotate it like that and it kind of evens this stuff out real good. Once you think it's about where it should be, just go ahead and hit it with a light. There you go. So that is the Patriot Bomber. Just a little something to put in your box. Do them in a couple different sizes. You could even take it down to the 14. I've had a few that I've had in the box that I did in 14 and it worked pretty good. So good luck out there. We'll talk to you later.